Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're so glad to have you. We're just going to give it a minute or two to allow folks to hop into the room here, but thank you so much for joining, and we'll get started in just a moment. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Getting Back on Track Help is Here webinar that's being hosted by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Public-Private Strategies Institute. We just want to let you all know that this session is being recorded and is going to be shared after the event to all of our registrants. And it's also being live streamed on the Public-Private Strategies Facebook page and also the Small Business Administration's Facebook page. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Renee Johnson.
Hey, and good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the country. My name is Renee Johnson, and I'm a senior advisor here at Public-Private Strategies Institute. We are so excited to have you here today to learn more about how you can get your business back on track. First, we would like to say welcome and thanks to the Small Business Administration Great Lakes region. So Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. We're all excited about you who are small business owners coming in from that part of the country, and more specifically, my home state of Illinois. Really excited about it. I got a couple of housekeeping items to go over with everyone. The U.S. Small Business Administration does not endorse Public-Private Strategies Institute. If you have a question, please type it into the chat box for the facilitated Q&A, and you'll see the chat function at the bottom of the Zoom platform. This session is being live streamed and recorded, and we will definitely make sure that you have a copy of this important information at the end of the presentation today. After this, we are going to talk about the overview of the presentation. So right now, here we are. Okay, sorry. The slides are a little delayed for me right now, so sorry about that. So the overview of this presentation today, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the relief options available for your business. We're going to talk about how the role of vaccines is getting back to business and updates from the CDC. And then more importantly as well, digital resources to sustain and grow beyond the pandemic. So businesses need financial resources, and you, of course, all know that more than anyone else. 9 out of 10 firms sought some type of emergency funding to help meet financing challenges during the pandemic. There was 82% who sought a PPP loan, 47% who sought an economic injury disaster loan, and 35% who sought an EIDL grant. Congress passed several laws, including the American Rescue Plan, ARP, CARES Act, focused on helping small businesses and consumers. And today we're going to break down some of those, more importantly, ways that you can continue applying or find out information on contact and resources for those programs. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you Eric Wall, who is the Acting Director of Program Policy and Evaluation of the Office of Disaster Assistance. Eric, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Renee. Thank you for the introduction, and pleasure to be here. Thank you for providing this to everybody. Like Renee mentioned, I am the Acting Director of Program Policy and Evaluation for the Office of Disaster Assistance for the Small Business Administration. That's a big title to say. Basically, we do policy. We create the policy for the program, take the legislation, craft it into actionable policy and programs for the taxpayers. So moving forward here on this slide, SBA has really an entire suite of programs available as a result of legislation over the past 14 months. In early March of 2020, Congress passed the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. Now, this act allowed SBA and the Office of Disaster Assistance to declare a disaster due to COVID in all 50 states and the 6 U.S. territories. In late March of 2020, the CARES Act passed. That's the big one that everybody's probably heard about. The CARES Act provided substantial lending authority to SBA, and it also created the Paycheck Protection Program, which you've also heard a lot about, both of those programs. In December of 2020, Congress passed the Consolidated Appropriations Act, which created the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program and the Targeted Advance Program. And then in March of this year, Congress then passed the American Rescue Plan, which provided the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. It provided funding for the supplemental targeted advance, and then it provided for additional targeted advance funding. So that's kind of the suite of programs that were created as a result of the legislation. So my job would be to work with the team to create a process to distribute the funds that Congress has allotted to us. So let's talk a little bit about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program and then the advances associated with that. When I say advances, that's what Congress terms them, but they're really grants. So if you want to go to the next page. So the Economic Injury Disaster Loan has existed since 1953. Dwight Eisenhower actually created the disaster loan program in response to a congressional action. So the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program allows SBA to provide normally loans to homeowners, businesses, nonprofits as a result of natural disasters. Well, as I alluded to previously, the March 2020 legislation last year allowed us to kind of change the rules a little bit, and then we could create a disaster declaration out of COVID, which we did. It was a nationwide declaration. So once that happened, then that opened up the ability for SBA to respond and provide assistance. Currently, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program allows for a maximum loan amount of $500,000, and that $500,000 is a cap, and that cap is based on a 24-month economic injury period, which we help any applicant come up with. Typically, on the application, the applicant will put in the types of losses they've had or the income they've had previously in association with the cost of goods sold and some other financial figures. Based on that information and based on the documented tax returns or some other sort of financial documents, we use those and we come up with a loan amount up to the $500,000. The terms of the loan are quite attractive because they are taxpayer subsidized. Businesses are fixed at 3.75. Nonprofits have a little bit lower, 2.75. All loans are 30 years. All loans are allowing for either 18 or 24-month deferments based on when you've applied and when the loan is approved. Of course, there are no prepayment penalties. Currently, we're asking borrowers to sign an unsecured guarantee for any loan over $200,000. And every loan is secured by a UCC-1 financing statement if it's above $25,000. So that's the economic injury disaster loan. I know there's a lot of interest in the advance or grants portion, which you can see at the bottom of the screen. We have a targeted idle advance, the supplemental targeted advance, and there's also the idle advance that existed last year. Now that is there's no longer any money on that one, unfortunately, because Congress allocated X amount of dollars and that amount's been spent. But the other two do still exist. So typically, in order to apply for an economic injury disaster loan, you would navigate to the SBA.gov website. You would then, you click Learn More. And from there, you'll learn about all of the major initiatives or all the major programs that the SBA offers. One of them you can go into apply for a disaster loan. And I would definitely, I would definitely suggest that if you have not already applied, that you do apply. Even if you don't know if you're interested in a loan, it's always good to apply, and we can kind of work through the process together to determine if you are interested in the amount that you're interested in. So typically, once you've found the application, you would put in the application information. It's a pretty short form, all things considered. Once that's submitted, we collect the data. We do run some third-party checks associated with the information you provided. We then provide you a portal account. You can sign up for your portal account and log in. You can see your loan that's in progress. Once the applicant is signed in or yourself is signed in, we will then underwrite the loan, we'll collect some additional information and make a decision. It's all electronic, which is a newish thing for us. We're doing everything electronic, but you know, the times that we're in currently, it's not as though we can meet face to face. So it's mostly electronic and it's pretty simple. That's about it on this. You want to go to the next one, Renee? Can we go to the, there we go, thanks. So these are the 3 advance or grants. The first one, as I mentioned, the EIDL Advance, that was a program last year. We had, I think, 10 billion of funding or maybe 20 billion of funding. That's all been exhausted, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, actually. The targeted EIDL Advance, we have plenty of funding remaining. So I would definitely encourage you to investigate that one. We have a lot of applicants that we've sent emails to that have not responded. We have just created a method to send out reminders in increments to those that have not responded to us or are inactive. So if you're on this call and you haven't responded for whatever reason, or maybe you deleted the email accidentally, you will start to receive emails from us that will ask you to apply. On the supplemental targeted side, well, actually, let me go back to the targeted advance and describe a little bit more about it. The targeted advance provides for up to $10,000. If you hadn't received any advance money in the past, you would be eligible for the full $10,000. If you had received EIDL advance money in the past, if you recall, we were providing $1,000 per employee. So let's say you had 3 employees, you received $3,000 last year. You would now be eligible on the targeted to get $7,000, which would be the total of $10,000. Same with if you had 5 employees, you received $5,000 previously. If you applied for targeted, we would do $5,000 more to get you up to 10. The targeted advance application and the supplemental targeted advance application both require that you apply for the economic injury disaster loan. Right? That is a requirement that's provided for in the legislation that's been passed, that these are considered advances on loans. So that's why you have to apply for the loan prior to applying for both the targeted EIDL advance and the supplemental targeted advance. Now, you don't have to obtain a loan, right? So that's very important to note. You don't have to get the loan, but you have to have applied for it. And that allows us to collect some information that's necessary for us in order to send an invite on the targeted EIDL advance and the supplemental targeted advance. So if you haven't applied for the loan because you don't want a loan, but you do want the advance, I would definitely recommend that you apply for all 3. And at some point, if you realize, oh, I don't want the loan, then you can, tell the loan officer or whomever you speak with that you don't want a loan, and the advances will then be processed. Moving to the supplemental target advance, that is a maximum of $5,000, and that is a automatic award if you are eligible for it. And I'll get into the eligibility stuff in here in just a second. But the 5,000 comes pretty immediate once we determine your eligibility. So in essence, you would be able to obtain the 10,000 targeted and the 5,000 supplemental for a total of 15,000. Pretty good deal. To be eligible for the targeted and supplemental, a couple of things. First, Congress has required that you be designated as low income in a low income area. That's based on some data that we've collected from census. We've created a low income area with their help, and based on the mapping that we do, and we've provided the tool as well online. You can go online and see if you're in a low income area for your business. If you're in a low income area, you would be eligible for both. Additionally, on the targeted EIDL advance, we require that you show a 30% reduction in your revenues from a year to next year comparison. We're looking at a 2-month period. So it could be January, February, of this year compared to last year. It could be March, April, 2-month period compared to this year, or 2020 compared to the prior year. Now, we wouldn't want to compare a year after March 2020 to, let's say, 2021, that we're not allowed to do that, but we can compare February and January of 21 to 2020. Those are the only 2 months in 2021 that we can use. The supplemental target advance requires that you show a 50% reduction in revenues. So target is 30%, supplemental is 50%. And both also require that you have show 10 or less employees on your information. So on both of these, we will start sending out reminders or ticklers over, I think 7, 15, 30, 45, 60-day increments. So we'll be bombarding your inboxes, but it's to help out small businesses. So please respond. Please click the link and apply. And we can help you through the process if you find it difficult or you need information. We can walk you through the process, or we have many FAQs on the SBA website. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, let's talk a little bit about shuttered venues and restaurant revitalization. I know a little bit about that, so I can give you the high-level scope on that. So the shuttered venues provided for $16.2 billion to be used for economic aid to the hardest hit businesses, nonprofits, and venues. We are still accepting applications on this program. You can apply. Here's the link. You can also go to sba.gov, and you can read the FAQ about shuttered venues, and you can apply there. This is also a grant. We will normally collect some information on the nonprofit or the business type that is considered a venue operator. And based on that, there'll be some underwriting, and then a decision will be made after the information collected. Similar on the restaurants, so 28.6 was appropriated, 5 billion. I'm sorry, I can't see the whole thing right now. There's some chat coming up, but nonetheless, there is certain set-asides for certain target markets on the restaurants. I believe that we are close to funding all of that, but nonetheless, you never know when Congress will appropriate more money. So I would also recommend that we continue to apply on the restaurant revitalization fund as well. Okay, Renee. And with that, we'll go to Stacy Pointer, who actually works for the regional administrator. He's the acting regional administrator, I'm sorry, Stacy, for the Great Lakes region.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone. Great job, Eric, on talking about 6 of our 8 disaster relief programs that have come about from the pandemic relief. A lot of information, a lot of moving parts, but just showing you how much SBA is trying to help small businesses and nonprofits recover out of the pandemic, and also how much attention Congress has provided on these vital programs as well. So Eric kind of talked about the middle and the right side of this chart here, so we're going to kind of go back to it, talk about the final 2 programs that he did not mention, which is the Paycheck Protection Program and the debt relief. So we'll start with the Paycheck Protection. Actually, if you go back, sorry, got a little head there. You could go back on the slide. Thank you. So the Paycheck Protection Program, a hugely successful program. It just wrapped up, the application period just wrapped up a couple of days ago at the end of May. I was looking at our final numbers. We have $798 billion in economic relief through the Paycheck Protection Program across the country. Again, $798 billion. 8.5 million small businesses and nonprofits were provided a critical lifeline through this Paycheck Protection Program, which did not exist before the pandemic of last year. As a matter of fact, this program launched, I think it was like 6 days after it was created by Congress. And within the first 14 days of launching, we did a total of 14 years worth of previous years worth of loans in 14 days. Just to give you some perspective of how massively successful the Paycheck Protection Program was. We did this in cooperation with our partners, our lending institutions, banks, credit unions, community financial institutions, even some new lenders such as financial technical lenders, or fintechs for short. So just a great program in the Great Lakes region, which you saw the slide earlier that Renee mentioned, but basically the 6 states surrounding the Great Lakes, the Paycheck Protection Program had 1.9 million loans for 135 billion just in the Great Lakes alone. So a humongously successful program. We're going to talk about forgiveness here in the next slide, as you saw earlier, but just can't emphasize what this has done. And a great thank you if there's any partners on any lending partners that are on this program. A big thank you from us for all that you've done. It was a heavy lift to get this money out, but very critical, and doing it in conjunction with the EIDL program and the other programs that Eric was mentioned earlier. Something that doesn't get talked about much is that next thing, the debt relief on SBA. So if you had a current SBA loan, and I know what 78504 microloan probably doesn't mean anything to you right now. We'll go into that in a little bit here in depth in just a moment. But those are kind of our core lending programs, non-COVID related type of programs. So if you had a current SBA loan, we actually made payments for you. In fact, if you obtained a normal SBA loan during last year or during this year, we were helping to make payments for you. In general, it was 6 months of payments last year and an additional 3 months of payments this year. There were some nuances to that, but in general, that was 9 payments that we made directly to your lender for you. It worked so smooth, you probably haven't heard much about it, but it was a great benefit. And for those of you that did have a loan, and I think you would understand that or attest to that. And we have heard from a lot of small businesses that said, man, that was a great help. That gave us that needed relief to be able to take care of other things that were going on and not have to worry about that SBA program. So that was a great program that happened as well. So back on the PPP, we'll go to the forgiveness, the next slide here. So as we're wrapping up the PPP application, now it's time for forgiveness. Well, we have a simplified form. We actually have about 3 different forms out there for loans up to 150,000. The forgiveness goes through your lender, so you don't reach out to SBA directly. You work with your lender that you obtained your loan from, and they will help you navigate that process. We have some statistics here. 3.3 million of 5.2 million of the loans that were made in 2020 have applied for forgiveness. That's over 60% of the loans have applied for forgiveness from last year. And 99% of those loans have received forgiveness. So the forgiveness is going out the door. It is ramping up. We're actually trying to make it a little simpler on the ones that haven't been forgiven yet, for 150,000 to 2 million. So we're trying to make that process a little easier. If the whole loan is not forgiven, there is some terms that come into play, and you can kind of see them on the screen there, either a 2 or 5 year maturity and a 1% fixed interest rate. But I can tell you again, the majority of loans are receiving full forgiveness. The vast majority of loans are receiving full forgiveness. But it is set up as a loan if it doesn't get forgiven. What you need to keep in mind is the name of the program is the Paycheck Protection Program. So the idea of the program was meant to help with payroll. So initially we had a higher percentage, but it was lowered last year to 60%. So 60% of the money needs to be used for paycheck, for payroll. And then the other 40% could be used for other expenses. Not every expense was eligible. So there was a list of eligible expenses that are on our website, but things like utilities, for example, would be a forgivable expense as long as they did not exceed that 40%. So 60%, I think, is a pretty generous number. It was lowered due to, as you know, some of the folks were, I'm sure some of you are in this situation where you were totally shut down and not able to have any payroll, not able to open. That's why that number was lowered down. For the folks that did receive more than $2 million, there is a manual audit process, so that forgiveness takes a little bit longer, but that process has begun as well. Next slide. So I mentioned earlier our normal program. So this slide here kind of ties into that. So when we look at the overall SBA funding programs, non-COVID related, we have our traditional loan programs, we have an investment capital, we have our bonding program, some grants, some research grants, and then our normal disaster aid that Eric kind of touched on earlier. So we're going to kind of delve into each of these specific programs, but we like to say at SBA, we help businesses start, grow, expand, recover. So we kind of started talking about the recover part right away. Obviously, that's on top of everybody's mind due to the pandemic. But we want to make sure that you understand we do have these other programs to help you start, grow, and expand your business. Next slide, please. So our traditional loan programs consist of 3 loans, and these are the names of the programs, just to kind of relate to the act that they came from originally, but they are very specific in different programs. So it's kind of important you have an idea of which one you're talking about. Again, generally you're going to work with a lender that's going to help point you in that right direction. We want to make sure you have a good baseline. So we'll just start with our 7A program, which is our most popular, most utilized program. So that is kind of like the catch-all program for any type of commercial need that you arise is going to be under the 7A program. And it's not really a loan from SBA, it is a guarantee. So we provide a guarantee to your lender in the amount of default. The SBA will help make them whole up to a certain percentage. Now you as the lender, the guarantee is for, or as the borrower, the guarantee is for the lender. So you as the borrower, you need to be 100% committed to this project, to this loan. It's not, it's not a bailout, if you will. I mean, the whole idea is to help you get a loan that you otherwise wouldn't obtain. The number one reason that folks get a normal SBA loan is a lack of collateral. And that happens a lot with new businesses, startup businesses, or those just trying to ramp up to the next level. For instance, we've talked about the restaurant revitalization fund as a specific program, but restaurants in general are always good SBA borrowing customers. Restaurants, as you probably know, there's some startup capital. There's obviously the equipment that needs to be purchased. But sometimes that value, or how a lender would value that equipment, might not be the actual cost of what that equipment is. So having the SBA guarantee can help shore that up, kind of provide that guarantor, if you will, for the loan program. So that's our 7A. So working capital, you can purchase real estate through that, inventory, things of that nature under 7A. 504 is more specific. 504 is for long-term fixed rate financing. So if you're looking to buy a piece of real estate or a major piece of equipment, and by major, I mean at least a 10-year useful life, this is a loan program that provides that long-term. And the key is fixed rate. Most of the time, if you looked at commercial real estate, if you can get a fixed rate, it's usually on a shorter term, like maybe they'll do a 20-year amortization, but it's only fixed for 5 years and it varies after that. The SBA program can be fixed up to 20 years. In fact, actually up to 25 years under the 504 loan program. So this is a great way to get in. And it's also, you can potentially get in with as little as 10% down. Most of the time on commercial real estate, they're looking at 20 to 25% down. Just a tremendous program. Unfortunately, it's a pretty good kept secret, I think, in a lot of cases. If you don't bring it up to your lender, sometimes they might not bring it up to you. We work through a third-party intermediary, which is called a certified development company. There's a handful in each state that are certified to be able to do this, that work on the 504 loan program. Just a tremendous program. So again, if you're looking at buying real estate, long-term machinery or equipment, expanding on your real estate, this is a great program that you need to know about. And then finally on the screen, we're talking about microloans. And as the title would imply, microloans being the small loans, in this case, we say 50,000 and under. So now 50,000 might seem like a lot of money to you and not a microloan. I certainly respect that. I certainly can understand that. But as I look at it from a lender perspective, there's a lot of costs associated, especially with a bank, to go through it and monitor a loan. There's a lot of regulatory fees, things of that nature. So a lot of times you'll find some of the lenders don't want to make these smaller loans. So we have these folks called microlenders. And the great thing about them, they also provide technical assistance to you. So generally the microloans are for the newer businesses and the startup businesses. And so they help to provide some technical assistance to make sure not only are you getting the loan, but you're getting some good direction of how to help grow your business. Again, there's a handful of microlenders across the region that are certified to be able to do this program. They've had history of doing it before the SBA got involved. So they have proved they can do this. And now they have the SBA's backing as well. So what we do, the SBA provides a loan to the microlender, which in turn, then they lend the money back out. Now it's they're underwriting their parameters. And so that's kind of the way it works. That's a way for SBA to help get some money infused into these small businesses, especially these ones that are looking to start up. So great loan programs we have, non-COVID related, as we look to recover. Next slide, please. So how do you find a lender? Well, we have an answer for you on that. It's called Lender Match. So just like it applies, it helps you, match a lender. So if you go to the Lender Match webpage, everything's on our SBA.gov screen and go to Lender Match. Basically, you type in a little bit of information. I think it's like 10 pieces of information. And just say, I'm interested in getting a loan. Here's what I'm kind of looking for. And then we have a number of lenders that have already pre-registered for this program, and they'll look, and they may look, number one, they probably look at from a geographic perspective. Where are you located at? Is that an area that they traditionally lend in? As far as, if you're in Minnesota and the lender's in Indiana, they're probably not going to respond to you unless they're a national or regional lender that has branches up there. But that's kind of the idea of that. And they'll say, hey, we're interested. And they'll send you a piece of information that says, we got your lender match inquiry. We're interested in talking to you. And it's kind of a lead for you. You're not applying for the loan. You're just putting the information out there that you are interested, and you're trying to see if it matches up with a lender in your area. And then you can talk to them. And then if you think it's a match, then you can go ahead and apply for the loan. So, we always encourage, if you have a lending relationship, always start with your current lender. But for those of you that don't have a lender relationship, or if you feel like it's time for you to change lending relationships, this is a great way. It keeps you from having to pick up the phone or go in and see a lot of people at once. And it kind of streamlines that process, because certain lenders might be interested in certain types of industries versus others. So this kind of gets you connected, and can tell you about lenders that you're not familiar with in your area. We talked about the 504 loan program. We talked about the microloan program. Those folks, those lenders are registered in this program as well, in this lender match. So they would be able to pick up and give you a reply on something maybe that you didn't think about. So it's a great tool that we've got out for a couple of years, highly successful. And I really encourage you to use that if you're looking for a new lender relationship. Next slide, please. So Eric touched on our economic injury disaster loans on the COVID side. I'm not going to go back into that, but he also discussed what we were doing non-COVID related. So the economic injury disaster loan does happen non-COVID related. It's generally for natural disasters. Here in the Midwest, we have floods, we have droughts, we have tornadoes. We generally don't have hurricanes, but obviously that's another big one there. So that's what the economic injury disaster loan can be, non-COVID related, can be for these type of natural disasters. Also, there's what's called a physical damage loan, which is still under our disaster umbrella. It's not economic injury disaster, it's actual physical damage. And that if you're a homeowner or a renter or a business of any size and are nonprofit, you could qualify for a physical damage loan, provided that declaration is made. Generally, that's going to be something for a little bit larger type of disaster, more widespread disaster versus an isolated disaster. And just so you know, the governor in the state actually is the one that asked for that declaration. Hopefully we don't have those, but we do know they do occur. Like I said, generally a lot of, in Indiana specifically, where I'm from, we've had a lot of flooding and tornadoes over the last few years. Back to the COVID related EIDL, just to give you some perspective, we've had over 445,000 COVID related EIDL loans in the Great Lakes region for over $23.5 billion in COVID related EIDL. For advanced payments, we've had more than 23,000 advanced payments for 164 million just in the Great Lakes. So for those of you who like statistics, just trying to give you a little bit of perspective there from the COVID EIDL relief. Next slide. So then the next couple slides are going to be talking about some more funding options that don't get a lot of press, but the stuff that's available through SBA that maybe you weren't aware of. The first one is investment capital. So this is an opportunity. It's similar to 7A and 504 lending programs. We've developed a network of private sector venture capitals that we partner with to help provide funding to small businesses. It's actually, they provide a 2-to-1 match for the investor. And these are looking, a lot of times these are businesses that are kind of innovative and looking to grow a new sector, if you will. So we have a list of those on our website of the SBICs, the privately owned companies that are involved. So if you're looking for equity financing versus debt financing, the SBA does have a connection in that. Next slide, please. Surety bonds. So if you want to perform a construction or a service type of contract, a lot of times they're going to require you to have a bond. And similar to our loan programs, the surety bond acts as a guarantee. So the SBA helps you get that surety that you might not, the bond that you may not have been able to get on your own. A lot of times you'll find that with subcontractors. So you've been a sub all of your day, if you will. You always have a prime. The prime always has the contract, the surety contract, and you've not went out on your own. So you really don't have that history of that relationship. similar to the loan where a bank would look at, your credit history, a surety company is going to look at your bonding history. And if you've always been under the bond or the prime, and you don't have that history, it's going to be more difficult for you to get the bond. So that's where the SBA comes in. They provide that guarantee. So we work with a network of sureties and insurers to make sure that you get that information. There's 4 types of specific bond contracting. And again, it kind of works very similar. It's a guarantee program. Not talked about a lot, but a very highly successful program. We've really been building that up over the last couple of years as we've added more surety companies to the program. Next slide, please. If you're into innovative research and development type of business, we have a program that we help administer. It's a competitive federal grant program called the SBIR and STTR programs. This encourages the small firms to undertake scientific research that helps meet the federal research and development objectives. And they also look for a high potential of, my video stopped. Okay, am I back?
You're back.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. Did the audio still come in?
Yep, you are good.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry about that technical glitch there. Back to the SBIR and STTR. So agencies such as USDA, NASA, the defense, energy, transportation, all have these type of grant programs. So the SBA administers these programs. So it works through our process. There's a website called SBIR.gov that gives you more information. So if you're a company that's looking to develop innovative type of product and that you think has potential for commercialization down the road, this is a great opportunity for grants. Before the COVID related, this is one of the only opportunities that was directly through for the grant program. So again, COVID's kind of taken over as far as what we've talked about, but this program is still out there and still available. Next, please. So do you know that over 90% of the new customer marketplace is outside of the United States? Think about that for just a minute. If you really wanted to expand your customer base, there's a whole global marketplace that's available. And again, the SBA is available here to help you. We have some specific loan programs available for exporting, 3, as a matter of fact, that are available to help you export. We can help you find buyers overseas. We have a lot of information. We have some dedicated export assistance centers here in this region. I think we have 4 alone in the Great Lakes region. We have great professionals there that can help talk you through that. We work with the lenders, we work with you directly as the borrowers to talk you through what you might need as far as exporting. Also, there's a great program called the STEP grant, State Trade and Export Grant. I think we have another slide on that. And some states have this available. It is a state-by-state program, but the money comes from SBA to help sponsor the state. One of the examples that you can use the STEP grant for is to help you go digital. There's a service, and you can see it here, it says pay fee for service provided by the Department of Commerce. They have a program called Gold Key, which helps you get into these foreign countries, helps you with trade programs and things of that nature, trade shows. Great program. A lot of times you can use the STEP money to be able to pay for that, which is a very nominal cost to begin with. The benefits are exponential versus what the costs are. So again, SBA can help you if you're looking to grow outside of the marketplace, outside of the United States marketplace, where over 90% of the new customers are at. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's kind of move out of the funding into contracting. Did you know that the US federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the entire world? I mean, the federal government buys everything that a normal business would, including pens, paper, printers, buildings built, grass mowed. How do you do business with the federal government? That can seem kind of daunting. Well, that's what SBA is here to help you navigate that window. Did you also know that at least 23% of all federal contracts have to be set aside for small businesses? That's a pretty substantial number. We can help you navigate that program. We can help you see if there's specific programs for you. We have 4 other set-aside programs called the 8A Business Development Program, the Women-Owned Program, the Service Disabled Veteran Program, and the HUB Zone program, which stands for Historically underutilized business zones. These are all set aside programs that limit your competition to be able to get those federal contracts. Because again, we require that all federal agencies and prime contractors that do business with the federal government set aside at least 23% of their contracts for small businesses. In fact, we give them a grade how well that they are doing. So this is a huge opportunity for you to expand your business. And again, with the government buying all kinds of products, have you thought about selling to the federal government? We do a lot of training on this particular topic, and it's a wide topic. We can talk on the general high level of the contracting, but then we can get into the more specific type of set aside programs. We do trainings around this. So highly encourage you to look into this if you've not thought about doing business with the federal government. Next slide. We've mentioned veterans, service disabled veterans as far as a contracting program, but we also have programs directly for veterans. We have our Veteran Business Outreach Center, which I believe we have 2 here in the region. We have Veteran Business Outreach Center that covers Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and we have Vet Biz Central that covers Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. So these are our funded partners that they're specifically focused on helping veterans. And we work and partner with them to make sure the programs are getting out there and kind of a partnership on the programs. You also see Boots to Business and Reboot to Business. So Boots to Business are for those active duty military that are thinking about transitioning out and looking at potentially starting a career, an entrepreneurial career. And so this kind of gives them a 2-day class, if you will, to go through and make sure that they understand kind of some of the nuances of entrepreneurship and trying to give them a leg up. Same thing with the Reboot. That's for folks that are already out. They're veterans that are already out. It's a scaled down, kind of a scaled down version of Boots to Business. You can find out if there's any current active in your area by going to the website and looking at, we'll kind of go through this a little bit, but going to the district office websites and see what opportunities are out there. There's also a Boots to Business website as well. Underneath those, you see a couple of other acronyms there: SCORE, WBC, and SBDC. So I'd like to spend a minute and touch on those. Now, whether you're a veteran or a non-veteran, you can still take advantage of these funded resource partners. So this is kind of our one-on-one counseling arm as we do through these funded partners. So just taking a moment to speak about each one of those. SCORE are folks that have generally retired and they've owned their own business, or they've been an executive in business. We are starting to get some folks that are still actively employed to join SCORE, but these are volunteers. They're taking their time and volunteering it to you to give their expertise in a specific particular topic like marketing or payroll or things of that nature. It's a great network across the country, so we can probably find someone that in your type of business, if you need a specific type of instruction, and they'll follow you throughout the life of your business, from just tire kicking an idea all the way to transitioning out of your business. They can help you with that free one-on-one counseling. Our women's business centers kind of do a similar thing, obviously, and the name is implied. They're catering toward women, but guys, it's okay. They'll still assist you as well. But this was to make sure that growing area, the growing demographic of women entrepreneurs, we're trying to get more and more of those, that demographic up. And so we have these specific centers dedicated for women's assistance. And then our small business development centers, which is a great partnership with some states. It's also universities. They provide that one-on-one technical assistance as well. Just a fantastic opportunity that all 3 of these folks work together. So you can be a client of all 3. You don't have to just pick and choose one. They all bring different ideas. They bring different expertise. Just a great network that we've helped fund as part of the SBA. I highly encourage you to take advantage of these folks. Next slide. And lastly, I want to talk about, we're talking about partners, a new program that's part of the American Rescue Plan, which is Community Navigators. It's a brand new pilot program that just started. It's $100 million that's authorized for SBA to issue grants to private nonprofit organizations, resource partners, state, tribal, local governments, and other eligible entities. The whole idea of this is to provide outreach and education, similar to what our resource partners do, but to more of the underserved market that we're not reaching. And to focus on the smallest of the small businesses. So if you are a nonprofit and thinking about that, this might be a good opportunity for you to reach out, I encourage you to go ahead and apply. The grant window is now open through July 12th. It's a 2-year performance period. It can be anywhere from 1 to 5 million worth size on the awards. And if you want more information, we're actually holding another public information session on this tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you go to our website, you can find out that information. Renee, I think that's where I give it back to you.
That's right, Stacy. And, as we're talking about, on the web there, you can actually look at private sector support as well to find opportunities for your small business as well. And then more specifically, to the next slide, there's state and local governments as well. I know that there's economic development, Department of Commerce's, in numerous states and jurisdictions that provide assistance as well and have COVID relief programs that you can apply for your small business. We're going to move a little quicker because we know there are a lot of questions coming in. And so we're going to talk about the role of vaccines and then digital resources to sustain and grow your business. So we know the majority of small business owners say it's very important that their employees get vaccinated. More than half of small employers say their workers are turning to them with the questions. And then more than 80% of small business owners report they're having informal conversations already with their workers about getting vaccinated, right? So more than half of small business employers in a survey that we recently conducted have found formal conversations, including staff meetings, one-on-ones with employees, and more so engaging with their communities, their families, because people want to know what are the steps, what's happening, how can people really learn more about getting vaccinated, what are the truths, what are the myths, and how can they be safe in going back to work and also starting their businesses back with more and more states and local municipalities lifting restrictions. And on February 26th, the Biden-Harris administration issued a call to action, the private sector asking businesses to adopt a mask, amplify the importance of safety of vaccines, and establish a vaccination plan for their employees. And with that, we are asking and want to make sure that you're able to help get back to the business of being back open, allow you to open and operate at full capacity, as many states are doing that right now. I know there's some states that actually went full capacity today, back to 100%. Bring back customers from your community, reduce staffing issues caused by COVID-19, exposure and additional infections as well. So getting up to speed on vaccines. If you choose to create a vaccine policy, there are additional steps that you could take and resources that are out there for you to get the support you need. Educate yourself and your employees on the safety. Again, your employees are going to come talk to you because small business owners are trusted voices in their community. And then this will help you explain why the benefits of taking the vaccine abundantly outweigh the risk of not taking one as well. So creating a COVID-19 vaccine plan, all businesses, big or small, should have one. Review state or local policies or seek advice. Definitely continue to listen to the CDC as they continue to provide guidance. Consider incentives for your employees, right? Such as a new paid leave tax credit will help you as a small business owner in ensuring that you're able to give your employees time off to go get a vaccination, for employees to get their shot and recover from any side effects that they may have. And with that, keep your employees appraised of updates on vaccine eligibility, where to register for the vaccine. If you live in an area disproportionately impacted by COVID-19, we are going to drop some links into the chat where you can follow up and look at these resources. And then more specifically, we're going to drop in additional resources for this campaign that the Department of Health and Human Services is running called We Can Do This. And as I mentioned just a few seconds ago about the tax credit, there are definitely opportunities as small business owners where you can get some tax credits, and it allows small and mid-sized employers and certain governmental employers to claim refundable tax credits that reimburse you for the cost of providing that time that you're allowing your employees to go get a vaccination in time to recover from those vaccinations. And we'll make sure we drop those into the chat. And then there's also the employee retention tax credit, which for in 2020, small business eligible for the tax credit were those that were 100 or fewer employees. Business operations were suspended due to COVID, and you had a decline in gross receipts of 50%. You were eligible for that. And then in 2021, the ERTC, which again is another great opportunity for you to get some sort of credit as well as a small business owner. It is for 500 or fewer employees and gross receipts of 20% or more. And again, we want to stress that you talk to your tax accountant or your preparer of your taxes to ensure that you make the best decision for you. And we're going to go ahead and skip over that next slide because we talked about paid leave. And we're going to go into digital resources to sustain and grow your businesses. So moving to the digital world, and as many of you know, you all did this. You have taken your business online and have seen a surge of people who are seeking still services and products and are turning online. The pandemic created a need and opportunity to move to digital capabilities, and more businesses more than ever are utilizing web presence for awareness, e-commerce, and digital fulfillment where there's no touch, where there's possibilities. And moving your business to digital, if you're assessing whether you have full implemented this digital resource, you should ask yourself these kind of questions. Do you have a website? Do you have ways to receive payments digitally? And can you do no contact transaction fulfillments? If you can answer yes, then you are moving yourself digitally. If not, definitely check into some resources online to see how you are able to make sure that you are moving in the right direction and join the digital interwebs of your small business. And now I'd like to go back to Stacy because we'd like to talk more about what's happening in the Great Lakes region.
Thanks, Renee. Appreciate it. So we have a nice little slide here with all the locations. So we have 7 district offices in the 6 states of the Great Lakes. And I won't read them all out to you there, but you can clearly see we have the diamonds represent the district office locations, but the circles represent the branch locations. My day job is the district director of the Indiana district office. And I have my colleagues I think all my colleagues are on the line. Unfortunately, they're not able to speak in the interest of time here. I'm kind of representing them today, but they're all here because they're all here to support your small businesses. I'm telling you, this pandemic has been a difficult time for all of us, but I'm really proud of our team here in the Great Lakes. We've really stepped up to the plate. You know, we're all working remotely, but we're answering the phone, the thousands of phone calls, the thousands of emails we're getting from folks. We're doing our best to try to get to all those as we can. Just know that we are available to help you, that we are answering the phone, we are calling folks back. So there's our local contact information, our local email addresses. If you use Twitter, make sure you're following us on Twitter. You have the Great Lakes handle up there, which is the whole region, but more specifically, you also have your the states that you live in. We have information there. There's websites. The SBA.gov website is the main website. If you don't remember anything else, SBA.gov is important, but from there you can have the slashes with the states. You can also have a slash for economic relief. So SBA.gov/relief, SBA.gov/recovery will give you a recovery hub to help you connect to other resources. But bottom line, SBA.gov, you can search that. But each state has its own specific website or web page. There's a calendar of events. So if you want to know what's going on in your area, what kind of trainings are available, that's the best place to go. If you have questions, email your state, or if you're in Ohio, you have a northern and a central and southern Ohio. Make sure you email the appropriate folks. If you don't know where to go, I'm sure they'll help you out. So just send it to one of them or both of them if you want. I wouldn't say both, probably just one, and give them a call. But we have a great team. We have a great leadership team that has been around SBA for quite a long time. A lot of great information. But our folks, our frontline workers, they are out there answering the calls and getting back to folks. So that's one thing I can absolutely say, and I'm very proud to say, if you're calling us locally, you are getting connected and you're getting information, and we're trying to help advocate on your behalf and get the information that you need. Keep in mind, we talked about 8 different relief programs. All of those programs are pretty much brand new for COVID. A lot of questions, obviously, from that. I've just kind of been I've been monitoring the chat, but kind of looking at the chat, some of the questions. a lot of specific, technical questions that are coming in. I know sometimes there's frustration when you're calling 800 numbers. I understand that, but no, your local folks are here. They're here to help you. So if you didn't know how to get hold of your local folks, that's where to go. Earlier in the first couple of slides, you saw the regional information. I'm the acting regional district director. That's kind of a temporary thing. Again, my day job is to work in Indiana. Calling the regional office is not what you want to do. The regional office, there's only a couple of us in the regional office. It's the district offices. Those are ones on the ground that are making the impact. So if you have any questions, please reach out to them. But really proud of our team. I talked about SCORE. We have over 50 SCORE chapters. We have over 100 small business development center locations. We have approximately 20 women's business center locations, the 2 veteran business outreach centers. So that's 170 resource partners in various parts of the Great Lake region. Plus, just to brag about the Great Lakes, we always lead SBA in lending. We have a great network of lenders across this region. We have a great network of lender relations specialists that really have that great one-on-one relationship with lenders, so we can help get you answers. So we're not going to be able to answer all the questions today and answer your specific questions. So use this screen, take down this information because it's very important, right?
Thanks, Stacy. And Stacy's right. We're not going to be able to answer everybody's question. There are tons of amazing and exciting questions because people are excited right now. This is a great opportunity to get some questions answered. But unfortunately, we cannot answer specific questions and we're almost at time. But if we could do maybe like a little rapid fire for the next 3 minutes with you, Stacy and Eric.
Sure.
I've been pulling some. I see a lot of frequent questions. So to the people who are like, you don't see my question, I do see it. I got you, Maria. I see you out there. We see you. So just really quickly, Eric, I received an EIDL loan in PPP first round. Am I still eligible for this current round of EIDL? And is there a max I can take out of EIDL?
Can you hear me? It looks like something just happened on the mute side.
We can hear you.
Okay, great, perfect, okay. The legislation, I believe in December of last year, decoupled PPP from EIDL. So they're no longer tied together. So if you receive one, yes, you can receive another.
That's amazing. How do I find out the status of my EIDL loan?
You can do that by logging into the portal that you created when you got your initial application sent in. You should have received an email, you should have logged in, selected your loan amount. It's that same portal that you can log into to check your status.
All right, and last EIDL question I see a ton of, is there forgiveness for EIDL?
There is currently not forgiveness for EIDL. Congress can pass whatever law they'd like though. So if they pass that, we will react accordingly.
Got it. Now, and I want to make sure people know that there was a slide that we had at the beginning. There was targeted advanced EIDL, so that there is 2 other opportunities where there is forgiveness abilities, but it's not the normal EIDL program. So it's a different name. So make sure that you know which EIDL, right, title program that you're in, so you understand how the forgiveness works. And we're going to make sure we drop that link in the chat. For Stacy, for forgiveness on PPP, what will prevent me from receiving forgiveness?
Oh, the number one reason is you didn't use the funds appropriately. Again, and the main factor is 60% has to be used for payroll. And the other 40% would have to be for eligible purposes. I can't give you all the eligible purposes. I would go to our webpage to look at that. Utilities would be an example of that. Probably not to go out and buy a new car, but for normal type of utility expenses. But the 60% for payroll, that's the big key.
Got it. And then I've been seeing a lot of questions here about how do I find a local SBA office? And I think that's a perfect way to end this right here.
Yes, and just so we're clear, the local office doesn't make the decision on the PPP or the EIDL or one of the other the total aid programs. We don't make the decision. We basically act as a conduit. It's the same thing as our normal SBA programs, our normal 7A, 504 microloans. We don't make the loan decisions. We are the conduit. We help folks get to where they need to be. So we can listen to the information and maybe we can provide some advice and directions that they hadn't thought about themselves. whether it be on COVID or non-COVID related activities.
Great, thank you so much. Want to thank both Stacy, Eric, and also our translator for being here today. We definitely got through a lot of things. We will be sending a copy of our recording to this to everyone who is registered, and it's also on our Facebook page, so Public-Private Strategies Facebook, as well as the Small Business Administration Facebook page. So if you want to review, see any additional slides, and then also please, 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 please go to the SBA.gov website. For any of these answers, you can go there to find the answers to your question. And then also, if you have an SBA related question, use the email address here, answerdesk@sba.gov. And if you have questions about receiving a copy, if you didn't register, you can't find the email link, events@publicprivatestrategies.com. And with that, we are going to continue our series with another webinar. So definitely go to our website, publicprivatestrategies.com, getting back on track to see the next date, which is June 17th at 2 p.m. We will be covering some more information and definitely talking about additional programs here at the SBA. So again, thank you all for joining us today. And thank you to the SBA team for all their amazing work and resources that they put out for so many small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.